Shalom to all.
Shalom to all! Today we're going to learn Mishnah Shabbat, Parak Yud, Mishnah Vav, and Parak Yud Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. And today's Mishnahs are being learned b'schos Reb Shlomo Zalman Uvzgosam Bar Ziyit V'chayetz Chalotzeim. They should be given for that Sachat Tzlach and Siyat Dishmai, good health, Parnasa B'Shafa, and Kol Tov Sela, and b'schos Esbas Rachel. She should be zecher to find Reziva Kagan B'Karav Mamish. And Mishnah tells us, Hanaitel Ziparn of Zubazu, someone that cuts their fingernails one with the other, meaning they peel off one fingernail with their fingers. Abishinav, where he does it with his teeth, means he bites his fingernails. V'chein Sarai, or if a person pulls out their hair. V'chein Sfamai, or pulls out a little bit of hair of their mustache. V'chein Zkane, or their beard. V'chein Hagadelas, a woman who braids her hair. V'chein Hakachelas, or a woman who paints her eyes. She puts on eye makeup. V'chein Apakeses, or a woman who parts her hair. Rabbi Eliezer Mechai, Rabbi Eliezer's Mechai, all these people. All these things are toldos of an Av Malacha. So the first things that we mentioned, cutting or biting one's fingernails, pulling out one's hair, beard, or mustache, those are all a tolda of malacha of geizes. Shearing, a woman who braids or parts her hair, that's a tolda of malacha of baina, building. And kaicheles, a woman who paints her eye, is a tolda of malacha of kaisev, writing. Now the Chum argue with Rabbi Eliezer. They say this person is not chayiv, however it's still aser. The Chum answer this because of an iser d'Rabbanan. Let's say someone detaches something which is growing in a perforated flower pot. This flower pot has dirt in it, but there's a hole in the bottom of the flower pot. Chayiv is chayiv for detaching it. Why is that? Because since it has a hole in the bottom, it's considered like it's getting its nourishment directly from the ground, so it's like it's planted in the ground itself. However, if he detaches something which is growing in a non-perforated flower pot, he's pater for doing so. He's not allowed to, l'chatchila, but he's still pater if he does so. Reb Shimon pater bazeh bazeh. Reb Shimon paters in both of these scenarios, because he holds that if something's growing in a flower pot, it's not like it's connected to the ground, even if it's a perforated flower pot. And now moving on to Parak Yud Aleph, Mishnah Aleph, continuing to talk about Eitzah. Now it's over here where the Rav describes the different Rishuyos of Shabbos, so we're going to also. A Rosh Hashanah, a private domain, is any area a minimum of 4x4 tefachim and surrounded by mechitzos, walls or partitions that are at least 10 tefachim high. A Rosh Hashanah, a public domain, is an area at least 16 amos wide, such as a road or a marketplace, and according to some, there has to be at least 600,000 people that go through this area on a daily basis. Now the airspace of Rosh Hashanah has a din of Rosh Hashanah until 10 tefachim, and above 10 tefachim is called a makom p'tur, whereas the airspace of Rosh Hashanah is always considered Rosh Hashanah even above 10 tefachim. And once we mention the makom p'tur, any area above 3 tefachim that isn't 4x4 tefachim wide is considered a makom p'tur. Now there is an in-between rishus, which we briefly mentioned, which is called a karmelis, and this would be any area that's surrounded by mechitzas but isn't 4x4 tefachim, or it is 4x4 but the mechitzas aren't 10 tefachim high. Or it could also be a large area not used by the masses, such as an ocean or a large field of sorts. All these would be defined as a karmelis. Now the word karmelis is understood as ke-armelis, like an almana. The same way that an almana is not a young unmarried basula, and she also doesn't have a husband, so to a karmelis is neither Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Hashanah. Now, as we've said previously, one is only chayiv for transferring from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah or vice versa. If there was an interruption in between these two rishuyos, one is not chayiv. It would be also to transfer like that, but one would not be chayiv achatas. Now Mishnah Aleph tells us, Hazarik Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, someone that throws an object from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, or Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, chayiv, he's chayiv for doing so. Zarek, throwing an object, is a tolda. It's a subcategory of hashata, of transferring just by passing. But now we're going to have a machlekes. Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, or Rosh Hashanah be'emtza. Let's say someone threw something from one Rosh Hashanah to another Rosh Hashanah, and it passed through a Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Kiva Machayev, Rabbi Kiva says his fellow is Chayev, the Chacham Paiter, and the Chacham say he's Pater. Now why would Rabbi Kiva say he's Chayev? That's because of something called Kluta Kamisha Honcha. When something is colored, or it's caught in the airspace of a defined area, it's as if it came to rest there. So according to Rabbi Kiva, he threw it through the Rosh Hashanah, so since it was in the airspace of the Rosh Hashanah, it's as if it rested there. So it's like he threw something from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. The Chacham hold, we don't say that. We're going to stop here for the day. Pick up tomorrow with Mishnah Beis, continuing to describe this case, throwing from one Rosh Hashanah to another with Rosh Hashanah in the middle, and on to Mishnah Gimel with something else. For now, everyone should have a wonderful day.